So now we're going to look at two main categories of cells, prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cells. The difference of this between the two of them is one has the nucleus and one does not. The nucleus is where the DNA is located. So if you look at this bacterial cell right here, you can see this purple stuff, which is supposed to be the DNA, is just free floating within the cytoplasm. This DNA is not located within a nucleus. That is different than plant and animal cells. In a plant or an animal cell, the DNA is located inside of the nucleus, and that is known as a eukaryotic cell. So the big difference between prokaryotic and eukaryotic is the presence or lack of a nucleus. A bacteria is a prokaryotic, does not have a nucleus, while plant and animal cells do have a nucleus where the DNA is located. Okay, membrane-bound organelles. So if you look at the bacteria here, you've got this free-floating stuff, the DNA. It's floating around in this green material, which is supposed to be cytoplasm. In fact, all of the different organelles of a bacteria, they just float around in the cytoplasm. They are not membrane bound, which means it has a special membrane that kind of keeps it it keeps it a little bit separate from its surrounding. That is different than plant and animal cells. They've got mitochondria, they've got the nucleus, they have lysosomes, they have Golgi bodies. All of this stuff, while it is in the cytoplasm as well, it also has its own special little case or enclosure, and that is the membrane. So yes, eukaryotes do have membrane-bound organelles. Do they divide? Yes, they both divide because they're both cells, right? And that's part of the cell theory. Cell theory is that all cells arise from pre-existing cells. What is different is their method. So a prokaryotic cell divides by binary fission, and then a eukaryotic cell will divide by mitosis or meiosis. The size of the organisms can also vary. Since prokaryotic are single-celled like this bacteria, they are unicellular and they will be relatively small. The size of the eukaryotic cell is also small, but the organism itself is multicellular in general, and therefore the size is much larger. A eukaryotic does have a cell wall, and that is what Anton van Leeuwenhoek was able to see when he looked at that gunk on his teeth. He was able to see the cell wall. Some eukaryotic cells do have a cell wall if it's a plant cell. If it is an animal cell, it does not have a cell wall. But we will be looking at the difference between plant and animal cells later. Examples of a prokaryotic cell include bacteria. Examples of eukaryotic cells would be plants, animals, fungi, and protists. Okay? Even knowing we've gone through these two different kinds of cells, the prokaryotic cell or the bacterial cell, and the plant and animal cell, which is the eukaryotic cell, these do have certain things in common. And those things would be the DNA, cytoplasm, that's this gel-like substance. Here it's green, here it's blue. A cell membrane, and ribosomes. Ribosomes are what build the proteins. So these two different kinds of cells do have all of these things in common. Okay, so the nucleus, or I'm sorry, the DNA, the cytoplasm, the cell membrane is what they're trying to point to here. It's kind of difficult to tell. And you can see that right here. And then finally the ribosomes. Here the ribosomes are these little dots floating in the cytoplasm. Here, they're also floating in the cytoplasm all over the place. Okay. And then finally, plant and animal cells, they have what are called organelles. Organelles are these specialized structures that have very specific jobs within the cell. Okay. Their main job of the organelles is to go through and make proteins. And don't forget that enzymes are a kind of protein. And all of these proteins help perform the different functions of the cells. Okay, and this is true. Remember that eukaryotic includes plant, animals, protists, and fungi, but we will be focusing on plant and animal cells. And that's it.